Way back in 2005, BMW had the best-selling luxury car in the country, the 318i. But by the end of that year, it had been replaced by the 320, which never really achieved the same status. But now the 318i is back, bigger and better than ever. Well, hopefully, although this one is a little bit different. And it all starts under here. You see, BMW's top seller has always had a 4-cylinder engine. Until now, it's now been dropped down to a 3-cylinder, but got a turbocharger added for good measure. The 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbo makes just 100 kilowatts of power. That's less than many small cars. Torque is a little more meaningful. There's 220 Newton meters and the peak kicks in from 1250 RPM. It's the same engine used in the Mini, a brand that BMW owns. And in that car it is a cracker. Really good usable punch, really economical, great fun little thing to drive. In this one, it loses a little bit of its fizz. And you can put it mainly down to weight. It doesn't take a genius to work out that this car, obviously a lot bigger, weighs a fair bit more, something in the region of 250 kilos. So you feel that on the road. So while you've got that flexibility, a little bit of pull around the 1500, 2000 mark, it's more likely to jump down a gear or two, and that's where you just lose a bit of that usability. So squeeze the throttle. It goes all right, don't get me wrong, it's still a reasonable car for what it is, but you haven't got a whole lot of grunt to play with. The 8-speed automatic generally helps it out. It gives you obviously a few more ratios to play with, although sometimes those downshifts like then can be a little bit dramatic. But generally it's all right, and it doesn't mind revving out. If you want to keep your foot pinned a bit longer, no complaints there. The thing will happily spin. The upside to all this is fuel use. The 318i is really economical. You're looking at 5.4 litres per 100 kilometres, the official claim. So that's good, really good. To be even better if you could achieve it. Obviously these days it's pretty hard to match the fuel figures. But even then, you'll get potentially 7, 8, 9 litres 100 around suburban areas like this, which is pretty good. Now, of course, the main reason for being with the 318i is the price. You're looking at about 55 grand. So it undercuts the 320 by about 6 grand. So it makes it a fair bit more affordable on that front. And crucially, it throws a bit more meat on the bone compared with the 316i that this car effectively replaces. So as part of that mild update, and we are talking really mild, you've got to look pretty closely to spot the visual differences, you do get some extra features. So for example, some news, weather and information as part of the colour screen and infotainment system. You get LED headlights, and you also get a head-up display, which is pretty cool, although it doesn't work with polarised sunglasses. Come on BMW, you can do better. But as always, there's plenty left to the options list, things like digital radio, the smart key entry if you want it, and if you want a bigger screen than that one, that isn't the world's biggest screen, then you're paying extra for that as well. Plus, the auto braking system isn't the full Monty that you get on most rivals these days. It will slow you down if it spots cars in front, but it won't necessarily slow you in the hurry that you might need to avoid a crunch. Still, the basics are there, and the 3 Series still has that clean, Teutonic feel to its interior. It is all nicely laid out, although starting to date a tiny bit, and things like this steering wheel, I don't know, they just feel a bit plasticky even though it's not. And it's the same with the way it drives too. The steering is really nicely alert and alive, and it's quite an athletic car for what is obviously trying to be a luxury vehicle as well. The ride, not as plush as some, but generally does a pretty nice job. It is a good car to drive. But the 318i feels like it could grow up a bit. With its engine, with the way it drives, even with the way it looks. It's a good car, a really good car, but it's not the benchmark that it once was.